Good morning and welcome to our Saturday Stories of Love. With me, as always, is Sophia and Lucy, who seems to be playing with the kitten to keep him occupied. She'll be right back because she dropped the toy. Today's story is called The Feather Locket, and it's a story about the power of a miracle. And I think that I read through the story quickly before, and I think it's a really good story. I think we're all going to enjoy it. So if you do happen to see the cat come across, please ignore him. I will try and get him out of the way, but he's got a mind of his own. So we're going to read the story. We'll talk about it after, see what everyone thinks. Okay? Sound like a plan, Lucy?
Yeah.
All right. You keep Chevy occupied. Lucy, you can pop in every once in a while, though, and just let us know you're good.
Okay.
All right. My mother, who truly embraced being a good mom to me, gently pushed my soft blonde curls into pigtails. She always taught me to take good care of myself and to be kind to everyone. My mother was a hero. One of my favorite pastimes was to go with my mother to the little old thrift store located next to the village church. It was simply magical to me. The piles of dresses and clothing drove my imagination wild. I could pretend to be a lost princess searching for her way home to her prince. I searched in thousands of boxes for everything, just waiting to be discovered. In the far corner of the thrift shop sat an old chest that had clearly not been touched for some time. It caught my eye. I ran to it. With excitement, I slowly opened it to find the most beautiful dress I had ever seen. Completely white with glitter, it looked like a dress fit for a queen. I noticed 2 opening slits on the back side of the dress, but I didn't care. I begged my mother to buy it. The dress and I became the luckiest little girl in the world when she said yes. I couldn't wait to get home to put the dress on. I dashed to my room. I quickly threw on the dress. It was quite large, but I loved it. Looking at my reflection in the bedroom mirror, I noticed a tiny pocket in the bodice of the dress. I could feel something. I pulled it out. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a feather-shaped locket necklace. I opened the locket gently. What was inside was a bit confusing to me. It was a picture of a person, but a small rolled-up piece of paper. I unraveled it. The words were faded, but I could still read them. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. I was old enough to understand it was a verse in the Bible, but what did it mean? Honey, are you in there? My mother called. It's dinner time. I quickly put the piece of paper back in the locket and tucked it deep inside the pocket where I had found it. I hurriedly finished my dinner and headed into the living room. What are you looking for, honey? My mother puzzled. I need a Bible. Why would you need a Bible? Oh, nothing, Mom. I just was wondering about something. Oh, okay, said Mom cheerfully. My mother was a regular attender of church and always put God first. She had instilled her love of God into me as well. She felt peace when I searched for answers from God himself. I reached for the lamp that stood beside the bookshelf and made myself comfortable on the couch. I found Hebrews 13, chapter 2, and rubbed my eyes to get a better view of the verse. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Could this really be, I wondered? I never told my mother about the feather-shaped locket. I kept it right where it belonged, in the center pocket of the dress. I made sure to keep it safe. As I grew up, although I didn't play with the dress anymore, I stored the dress in our attic. During my senior year of college, I received news that my family home had caught fire and nothing was left. Every important item was destroyed. I knew that this included my dress and the locket. It was all gone. This broke my heart. I left college to return home for the summer. My dear childhood friend Rebecca offered to take me in for the summer while my parents' house was being rebuilt. I happily accepted. The day was beaming with sunshine, a perfect day to travel. My car was packed with college junk, and I began my journey home. Sometimes later, I noticed clouds starting to roll in, causing my headlights to come on. The buckets of rain fell so hard I couldn't see anything in front of me except for one small car. Its taillights were barely bright enough to give me a sense of direction. Bang! The shock of the water splashed against my windshield. I was okay, but the small car in front of me had suddenly stopped without warning. As I slowly approached the car, the flashers flicked a slow glow. The highway was empty. I had to help, so I pulled over behind the small car. Miss, do you need some help? I said. I saw you ahead of me as you lost control. Yes, please, the elderly woman said in a calm voice. I will call a tow truck and sit behind you with my flashers. As I ran back to my car, before I knew it, I watched her car being loaded onto the flatbed of a tow truck. I could see the elderly woman point to my car as she spoke to the driver. I watched as she made her way to the window. Miss, I would like to thank you for all of your help. She put out her hand and handed me a folded piece of paper. This is for you. I quickly accepted and put it in my coat pocket. The tow truck drove off with the elder lady in the passenger seat and her small car on the bed. Out of nowhere, a beaming rainbow arched over the highway in the midst of an early summer shower was left to dry. I got to Rebecca's house safe and sound later that day. I told her about the action-filled day I had and some grateful elderly lady had towards me for helping her. I realized in that moment that I still had the folded piece of paper she gave me in my coat pocket. I pulled out the paper. Oh, good. At least I didn't lose it, I told my friend. When I opened up, a small feather locket fell into my hand. I was puzzled. A faint ink on the paper was written, "Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares." I stood there in awe. I couldn't believe it. Was it possible? "What is it?" Rebecca said as she stood there next to me. "It's the locket I lost in the fire, Rebecca. It's the locket I found as a child in a beautiful white dress tucked away in a chest." Rebecca leaned against the windowsill and stared out slowly rising moon. "You know who helped you?" I nodded my head and walked to the window. Gently putting the locket around my neck, I stared at the perfect alignment of the stars and whispered to Rebecca, "She was a stranger who was an angel indeed." So what did you think of that story? I really liked it. I read it and I read the little summary and I thought it sounded really good. And I think that it does prove to us that helping people and being kind will come out like you. Perfect example. When we went to Disney and you lost your lanyard with all your pins, but you found that lady's ring and you turned the ring into the park. Remember that? And then a little while later, we found your lanyard and someone had turned your lanyard in. It's the same thing. You know, you do something nice to somebody and you be helpful to somebody, you never know what's going to happen back. And I think the whole point of this story was she helped a stranger, not knowing who that stranger was, but the stranger turned out to be an angel in disguise. So what do you think? How about you, Lucy? Oh, you were too busy watching the cat. Did you hear the story?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was nice.
You thought it was really
and when
nice?
I was playing with the cat went on his belly and he was like...
He's silly. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope you enjoyed our story because I know that we both did. And we hope you have a great weekend. Bye. Lucy's going to do a close-up.